Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Q Points, dropping the needle on Black music history. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay the Third. What's happening? Sometimes known as J Hands. What's happening, y'all? Okay, we gotta give context.
I was waiting.
We have to give context. So as we were doing the pre-show, Sir Daniel was like, as you can see, my hands are moving right now. If you watch Q Points, for those of you that are listening, you don't see this, but you should go and watch the show, because if you watch right now, you'll actually see my hands moving a lot because I'm making points. So our youngest watcher commented and was able to do movements of me using my hands. And so Sir Daniel was like, you should also be J Hands too. That could be another moniker. So yes. So maybe J Hands.
Absolutely. Definitely J Hands are in the building. And and thank you for listening to another episode of Q Points. Listen, today's show is undoubtedly going to be one of one because we are the ones. Jay Ray, just give them a brief description of what we're going to be talking about today and how they can keep in contact with us.
Absolutely. So y'all, we got a lot of stuff to talk about first before we get into our main topic. So we're going to catch up on Paper Magazine. We have to definitely talk about Harry Belafonte, Jerry Springer, and Pras Michel. Pras from the Fugees. We got to talk about that too. And then for our main topic today, we're talking about one of one. We've called it that because people are always doing, we need a brand new insert legendary artist here. These artists typically can't be replicated. And so we're going to talk about this desire to do that. But some of these artists that are one of one and why they can't be replicated. So it should be a super fun conversation for us. A couple of things that you should do, though, before you do anything else. Wherever you are listening right now, subscribe to the show. So go ahead and click the subscribe button so you can stay up with Q Points. And you could go a step further. If you want to support Q Points, this is absolutely free. Just share the show. You're a music listener. You're here because you're really into music, in particular Black music, from the eras that we talk about. You should share it with your friends because they probably gonna like it too. So let them know. If you want to go a step further and you want to support us monetarily with your hard-earned coins, we appreciate you. You can become a member. Visit our website at qpoints.com, click subscribe, become a member, or visit the Q Points store. There are plenty of ways that you can support us. We appreciate you in anything that you decide to do.
Thank you for that, Jay Ray, and your very expressive hands. So let's go ahead and get into it. Paper Magazine, like a lot of publications of its time, has now shut the door, has laid off everybody on their staff, and Paper Magazine is one of those cultural
Mm-hmm.
documents: culture, music, fashion, especially fashion,
Yes.
everything that you could think of. Paper Magazine brought to us, and now it's no longer. And it's sad. I'm kind of indifferent now, only because you and I, we've gone through this before. We're
Oh
of a
yeah.
certain age now. We've seen almost all of our favorite publications go out of print,
Yep.
or go strictly digital, or just stop production. Period.
Yep.
So it is, kudos to them for lasting this long.
Yeah, because they've been around
Um,
for a minute.
yeah, and they've had a lot of hip hop icons on the cover of their magazine. I
Mm-hmm.
remember that was one of the first places that featured like Foxy Brown,
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Baltimore. People that you would never think of, especially a lot of the women in rap. They
Yeah.
featured a lot of them on their covers. Delight, you name it. They also featured an up and coming podcast host and show engineer by the name of Johnny Cornegate. Did you ever see that particular article?
I did. I was definitely in Paper Magazine in 2015, 2016.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was talking about CMP, or the Counter Narrative Project. It's my day job.
Mhm.
And was talking about something related to the work that we do at CMP. And they oh, I feel like it was part of American Express. Remember how we were doing the Pride, the American Express Pride, and I feel like
Yeah,
Paper
yeah, yeah.
Magazine featured us one year, and I was in there. So there's a picture of me that has been used a lot, that was in paper. I want to see if I can find that, because I need to archive it
You
now.
gotta.
I gotta archive that Q&A from Paper Magazine. But yeah, that magazine, it was a hallmark for a lot of reasons. One, it was a place where you could go and kind of get put on. They did a pretty good job with having writers that had their pulse on pop culture, so you could get introduced to artists there, and it was just a place for the cool kids to hang out. So I didn't know until you mentioned it in preparation for this show that they had shut their doors. One, not surprising. You are absolutely right. We've seen, since we've been young, all of our publications,
Hmm.
all the publications that Sir Daniel and I grew up with, basically
Source
shut down.
Magazine, Word Up, Rap
Black
Man, all of
Beat,
Black Beat,
all
Right On, all of that stuff is gone. Vibe Magazine,
yep, Jet.
Jet, oh Jet. Now that was heartbreaking.
Jet was heartbreaking. Y'all need to listen. The folks who have the ebony, try to get some Jet back. Jet is small too. Like, I feel like y'all could do
Yeah,
Jet still. I feel like we need Jet. Anyway, sorry to all the folks that one worked over there, cuz you know what, getting laid off in this economy
it's
is
not fun.
tricky. There's a lot of stuff out there, but I don't know. It's a weird time, employment wise. So yeah, so just sending love out to those folks, because, we got to make sure that people are all right, and it's a weird time in the economy. So that part sucks.
Absolutely, I can move. Being a freelance writer and being responsible for, because we have friends who do
Hmm.
that. We have friends who are
Absolutely.
freelance writers, who are journalists, and just hearing some of the horror stories about them, turning in documents, turning in articles, but then having to wait months upon months for their money to come in is just ridiculous. So hats off to them. Keep
Yes.
making your living, because we do need people to document this music history that we're doing. Speaking of music history,
Yeah.
civil rights, somebody who has graced the covers of Jet Magazine, Ebony Magazine, every cover you could think of, Harry Belafonte passed away earlier this week. And to say that it was heartbreaking is an understatement.
Hmm.
I don't know if you saw my Twitter feed,
I didn't.
but when the news was announced, I automatically I had a memory trigger
Hmm.
in kindergarten. I performed along with several other young men in a stage performance of the Banana Boat song,
Yeah.
where we had if we had island shirts tied up in knots around our belly buttons, our little hard bell bottom jeans, and caps turned to the back because we were mimicking plantation workers.
Yeah.
And if you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, if you look very closely at the stage floor, you will see the green cutouts of the bananas that we had been harvesting all day. And I just remember the Banana Boat
Wow.
song is one of those first songs that I remember because I had to perform it.
Yeah.
We had to sing it. And Harry Belafonte has been a part of my life ever since. He was one of course, he was a civil rights activist.
Hmm.
He was the first performer to have a number one album,
Yep.
and for it to go uh, platinum. He was the first one to do that. He produced Beat Street,
Uh-huh.
which we hip hop is now
Yeah.
celebrating 50 years, and Beat Street is definitely one of those movies that chronicles one of the biggest moments and movements in hip hop. And so to say Harry Belafonte played a major role in our lives is an understatement.
Absolutely. He's also an EGOT. So Harry
Yeah.
Belafonte is an EGOT. So you said something that I want to also make sure that we solidify in context because it's important as well. As hip hop celebrates 50, we have to. Harry Belafonte is also part of the hip hop legacy, even though we may not think
Mm-hmm.
so. We just talked about the fact that he produced one of the producers on Beat Street. Also, of course, he starred in Carmen Jones with Dorothy Dandridge and Pearl Bailey, which was
Mm-hmm.
also made into Carmen, a hip opera, which
Bruh. Yep.
starred Yasin Bey and Beyonce. So they had a whole hip hop flair to the Carmen story. So his impact just in entertainment, and for us, so Sir Daniel and I grew up seeing this man as an elder statesman on
Mm-hmm.
TV our entire childhood. Like our parents would talk about Harry Belafonte. My mom specifically would be like, he's so handsome. She will always
Okay.
talk about Harry Belafonte being handsome.
Yes,
Um,
sir. But
listen,
listener, did you remember seeing listeners and J Ray? Do you remember seeing Harry Belafonte popping up on Sesame Street?
yep.
Like he was
Mhm.
omnipresent
Yep.
everywhere.
He was everywhere. And to know, because I learned later as I got into high school into some his civil rights activism, right? As I started to learn that, I grew up with him just thinking like, yo, he was the guy who would be acting and singing on the TV. But he was so much more than that. And he lived. Harry Belafonte was 90, like 96, I believe. When I want to get to 96. Like I want to get to 96,
Whew.
and just have the legacy. I won't be an EGOT. I'm not doing all of
Hmm.
that.
You
But
don't know that, J Ray.
I do you
You
know
don't
well,
know.
I don't know that I'm gonna
No,
act like that. I don't know that I'm
let's.
gonna do that.
You don't
But
have to be. You don't have to be an actor.
that's
Actor.
true. That is
You can
true.
be
You
on.
can be
You can be on a TV show and get nominated for an Emmy.
that is true. You
You
know
can
what?
produce a Broadway play. It can happen.
It can
It can happen.
happen. So to that point, yes. Looking at people like Harry Belafonte, it's an inspiration, right? And it can be
And that
done.
name is a dynasty. That name is a dynasty. He had his kids.
Mhm.
Sherry Belafonte was an
Yeah,
icon all on
all
her
her
own.
own. Yep.
She was. I mean, she was a low number back in her day. She was
Yeah.
a gorgeous, gorgeous woman that I mean, all the fellas were after. She
Hmm.
was on all the covers, so that's part of his legacy as well. So
Yeah.
um in that spirit and giving and paying homage, and this is a far cry from Harry Belafonte. This
Far.
person, we can't say that, listener, we can't say that this person um merits the same kind of accolades that's Harry Belafonte, but he does hold a place in our hearts culturally. Of course, at the time of this recording, it was announced that Jerry Springer
Mhm.
passed away as well at the age of 78 or 79 from
Yeah.
cancer. Shocking.
Mhm.
Because he's been out of the public eye, I forgot that he was battling cancer, and I think we all have just a frozen picture of Jerry Springer in our mind of him standing by that stage with the microphone, you know, calm as can be, while the audience is in complete chaos and mayhem. Navigating one of has to be hands down the number one guilty pleasure of reality talk shows, the
Yeah.
beginning of reality television.
Yep.
um just part of that legacy. I don't There just hasn't been any more after him. He was one of one.
He was
there's like there's
absolutely.
a Jerry, there's a handful of talk show hosts that can never nobody else can be added to that pack. You got
Mhm.
Oprah, Ricky Lake, Donahue, Sally Jesse Raphael,
Mhm.
Jenny Jones,
Yes.
Rolanda Watts, Charles Perez, Maury Povich.
Mhm.
All of these people, there's only a certain number of them. What's my guy, the black one?
Montel. Yeah,
Montel.
Montel Williams, Ricky Lake. We got it.
Yeah. So there's only a handful of those people, and they are definitely part of what we're talking about tonight. Lightning in a bottle,
Mhm.
a certain amount of time that this happened in and could have happened in, because it can't happen today.
No.
And for better or for worse, they are imprinted in our collective psyche. And he's definitely part of that number. Jerry Springer, did his thing. He ran an office,
Yeah.
public office in
In
Chicago,
Cincinnati. He was
Cincinnati.
a councilman, I believe, in
Yeah.
Cincinnati. He was a fascinating figure, an attorney, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, by trade. Um, that show, God bless it. That show, from the time we were teenagers,
Mm-hmm.
has been on the air, and it was in my case, I'm gonna use an I statement. Some of those shows was the first time that I had heard that people who lived this whatever lifestyle it was lived, because they
Uh-huh.
appeared on Jerry Springer. It was always outlandish, though. It was always insane. But
A
to
wee
your
bit exploitive.
very much
A little
exploitive.
bit.
But to your point, Sir Daniel, that type of content could have only happened in a certain period of time. It was crazy coming the 80s and the 90s were a weird time, y'all. It was different in the world. There were less rules. We're very
Oh yeah.
PC now. That wasn't true then. But Jerry was one of those. He's just been around. I was surprised that he was on as long as he was, because he did
Yeah.
that show forever. Him and Maury. I was like, child, are y'all ever gonna leave? Like, y'all still doing these shows. I know that Jerry passed the baton to Steve. I guess Steve is still
Mm-hmm. Steve
on
Wilco. Yeah.
his security or
Security guy.
whatever.
Yeah.
But Jerry Springer, for better or for worse, really did help to shape trash TV. It was like him
Yeah.
and what's the other dude? Him. What is his name? He had the big
Morton Downey
mouth.
Jr.
Morton
Morton Downey
Downey
Jr.
Jr. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And not for nothing, Jerry also gave a place for a lot of black musicians to perform on the show. I remember specifically that clip comes up every year of the 69 Boys doing What You Want to Get Her for Christmas. And
Or Jerry Springer.
they performed on Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer had Ricky Dillard and New G, huge gospel artists, performing on his show for, I believe that was a Christmas special also. So there was a lot of crossover. There was a lot, because they knew who their audience was.
Right.
They knew their audience was very, and I'm putting up the rabbit ears, listener, very urban.
Yeah.
And remember, Jerry had a movie that was very
That's
urban as
right.
well. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
OMG. Rest in peace to Jerry. You will never be forgotten. We can't forget you, Jerry.
Cannot.
Jerry. Because I remember when I remember when that chant. Okay, back in the day, y'all, that chant wasn't always a part of the show. There was actually in the early years of Jerry Springer, it wasn't that bad. Like the early years of Jerry Springer were more Sally Jesse Raphael and Jenny Jones before it became late 90s Girls Gone Wild. Like it
Yeah.
was very
Yeah,
different.
they all started out wanting to be serious journalism shows,
Yeah.
and then when they saw that Oprah kind of had that lane on lock, everybody
Yep.
was like, well, shit, we got to do something to compete with Oprah. So I guess we got to go all the way on the other side and
Let's
just
start fighting.
let's start fighting and bringing out the transvestite school teachers with horses in their basement, all that kind of stuff.
It was Jerry Springer. Everybody was on that show. Wow.
Yes,
Rest
sir.
in peace, Jerry.
Rest in peace, Jerry Springer. Now, another news item that came up that sounds tabloidish and sounds so outlandish that it could have been on an episode of Jerry is we had spoken about this in passing, but Prasarako Michelle, formerly of the Fugees, was found guilty on not just one but all 10 counts, and everybody is stunned. Everybody is complete. First of all, a lot of people didn't even know that he was on trial. I think we're like one of the few people that actually talked about it. But now that he's been convicted, it's like, yo, dude, 10 counts?
10 counts, and we are talking big money that he was now convicted of embezzling. You know, it just puts into perspective how one of the arguments that Praz's team was making was that he had gotten bad advice. Here's what I'm going to say. When you are jockeying for money and power, there is a risk every time. There's a risk every time that you do that. And it is very obvious that he was really interested in a particular position, a particular type of power that was also very lucrative financially, and got caught up. But and the level of caught up of being convicted on 10 counts in a federal trial, that's a lot of time. And that, damn. So watch yourselves out there, y'all. Like, start asking questions about, is stuff worth it? Like, ask, is it worth it? If you get caught, is it worth it? And in Praz's case, Praz's defense was, I didn't realize what I was doing. I'm sorry, that doesn't work as a defense. So my thing for me and for folks is, be careful, make wise business moves. You got to be able to defend it.
It's sad, like you're saying, fame is a hell of a drug.
Ooh,
and to come from the heights at which they were floating as the Fugees to, seeing two of your counterparts still go to other levels, because yes, Lauryn Hill is a thing, but Wyclef wasn't a slouch either. Wyclef was definitely had it going on in his own right. And so, and Praz has always, let's be real about it. Praz has always been the one that people joked about in the Fugees. Nobody really, if we're going to keep it a bean, nobody really took him seriously. Nobody really, recited his verses. So I can kind of understand where, if you're dealing with that all those years, and you have to hear it. It has to get back to you. And I'm pretty certain there had been meetings where people were like, well, listen, you're not the most popular out of the three. So
you have to make your name. Like, yeah, so it becomes a thing where it's like, well, listen, if they're going to do that, then I have to make my money and my name doing something else. And I want to be the best at that. Yeah, you're right. I'm sure he heard it. But damn, you know,
Damn. Yeah, damn.
damn. So I I guess this is probably one of the reasons why that tour didn't happen. I'm sure he knew long
Mm-hmm.
before was coming down that this was hitting,
Yes.
because that was what, 2021 that they were talking. Yes, because we were on
Yep.
this show, and then it was like, we're not doing it.
We're not
And
doing
I'm
it.
wondering if part of it was like, we know that something is coming.
So we owe Lauren Hill an apology
We
because
we
I
did
know
play.
all of y'all was blaming it on Lauren Hill. Let's keep it a stack. We were all blaming Lauren. We were blaming her. We was saying she was going to show up late, and that she was going to be the one to be the kibosh of it all. But it turns out it was actually Prize and him knowing that he was going to be going down for these federal crimes. So we are sorry, Miss Hill, or at least I am sorry, Miss Hill. I'm sorry for speaking out of turn and dragging your name. With love. With love. Absolutely.
Oh.
But Jerry, before I know it's time to head
Mhm.
into our main topic. One thing. So of course, Janet is on tour.
She is.
And she's here. She's
She
here
is.
in my city of Atlanta.
You know, her
This
old stomping ground. Janet used to
her
frequent
old
the
son.
Atlantas.
So, and you know why she was frequenting Atlantis? Because she was dating one Jermaine Dupri, who is
Mm-hmm.
the mayor of Atlanta
Yep.
unofficially. And so last night was the first show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, of course, I don't know if you heard this, but the Hawks surprisingly won. So now they booted her out of her time
Right,
slot
because
of
she was supposed to be there
tonight's show,
tonight. Right.
right, and moved her to Friday, which is bugged if you ask me. It's like
Right.
the Hawks, who
Right.
we talking about Janet. But anyway,
I'm sure she was like,
so
it's fine. I'm gonna just hang out today.
I'm gonna I'm gonna tell
Hang
you
out
why
with your
she
man.
might have been okay with hanging out was so of course friends of mine, my timeline was littered with footage
Mm-hmm.
of the performances, and of course she brought out her old beau Jermaine
Of
Dupri to
course.
perform a song.
They're
It made
friends.
sense. They're friends and they're very friendly apparently
Yes.
because there is footage of her coming from backstage and walking past him, and she gives him one of those
You
love
see.
taps,
Yeah.
like boy, don't be looking at me like that. That kind of. I
Right.
see you over there looking at me, like, and so I automatically thought when I saw that footage, I was like, "Yo, if Janet Jackson spins the block, spins the spins these College Park blocks this one more time for Jermaine Dupri, y'all would have a riot." Listener, you would have a riot if Janet Jackson spun the block. But I think, as Amanda Seales says, spinning the block is probably the best thing that you can do because you already know each other.
Absolutely. You have a foundation already built. And it was very clear when we saw the documentary, Jermaine was the only ex in the documentary
That's right.
physically, right? Everybody else, it was archival footage and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Jermaine actually was part of it. And I'm like, oh, that says a lot about their relationship, and what she thinks of him.
Yes.
Because I did, what we were left with was, we got the sense that yes, even though he admitted to doing some foolishness, that she also kind of understood him. Right. And so I'm not surprised that she was like, oh, they got to boot me for another day. Okay, that gives me an excuse to hang out
Yeah.
in Atlanta.
Hang out.
I used to be here. It's all good. Janet is back in the A.
You know. So shout out to Janet. I hope she enjoys her stay here. You know, if we run into each other, I may or may tell you all. If I happen to run now, good and well, if I run into Janet Jackson, who is one of one, I am going to yell it from the sky, and you're going to be sick of me because I'm going to be reusing that picture on everything. It's going to be on my mixtape covers. I'm going to make a T-shirt out of it.
Now shut up.
You're not going to be able to take me because I met Janet Jackson, and
Listen, I would too. Honestly, Janet, okay, you know this for a fact. I'm not good with like the selfie game, but I would
Uh-huh.
certainly remember for Janet Jackson. Like,
Oh,
Miss
absolutely.
Jackson, can we take a picture? I'm gonna be like, whoever's walking by is taking this picture of me and Miss Jackson.
You better know it. I'm wiping down the lens and everything,
Yo,
taking all kinds of angles and put it. What's that setting where it takes a gazillion pictures at one time?
burst.
A burst? Yeah, all of that, because we are going to make sure that we have the one of one with the one of one Janet Jackson,
Mm.
and of course, if you didn't know, I'm segueing into our main topic. One of one, discussing the natural need to replicate music magic. So we got to this conversation because thank you, J Ray, for suggesting and putting me on to watching the documentary Little Richard, I Am Everything. After watching that, J Ray, I text you immediately. I was
Mhm.
like, I'm in a puddle of tears right now. I was so moved, saddened, moved, happy, elated. It took me through all the emotions. I added Lisa Cortez in my tweet. I
Mhm.
immediately tweeted and said, "Thank you, Lisa Cortez, for making this happen." Lisa Cortez, who of course is the producer of this documentary, but she's
Mhm.
also a name in the annals of hip hop as well. Like Lisa Cortez's name pops up on the back of a lot of rap albums, that you will, and that's a different story. But yeah,
Mhm.
Lisa Cortez is definitely hip hop affiliated. But yes, Little Richard undoubtedly is one of one. When I say he is a comet that came to this earth to do what he did in the manner in which he did it, despite the
Mhm.
contradictions, the being robbed and unappreciated and not acknowledged for all that he did, he of course his influence is felt. And the fact that I love at the end they had a montage of all the artists that
Mhm.
you can see Little Richard in. You can see Little Richard in Little Nas X.
Mhm.
You definitely saw him in Elton John. You can see him in Harry Styles.
Mhm.
All of these people that have come way after the fact are still eating off of what Little Richard put on the table for everybody. And so, but with that, as much as people have taken little petals off of Little Richard's flower, nobody, absolutely nobody, has been able to replicate what he has done in the manner in which he does it.
Yeah. Like, you can't. So, and that's why I think this conversation that we're having is so interesting tonight. The Little Richard documentary shows you what happens when a person leans in to the fullness of who they are, even with the
Mm-hmm.
contradictions, right? Little Richard recognized the duality that he was holding, and that's why he would put it down and pick it up and put it down and pick it up and put it down. But when he picked it up, he picked it all the way up, right? It was like,
Baby.
okay, we're gonna go from 0 to 100 with this, but he shows you when you are true to you what's possible. And what I love about this documentary, in addition to it being excellently, the storytelling is outstanding.
Phenomenal. Yes.
Taking you from Richard's childhood, talking about the relationship with his mom and his dad. I was so moved when it talked about when his dad finally said he was proud of him, when Little Richard like
Mm-hmm.
finally started to hit, and the dad was like, "Oh, I get it." And even talking about that duality of his dad being both a minister and the owner of a club, right? It's like living
The
contradiction.
hustler.
The
Yeah.
hustler, right? But the beautiful, so as Little Richard is of course on this early part of his journey, he's figuring out who he wants to be as a performer, and God puts Escarita in his spirit, right? And it becomes like a mirror to him, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
puts Billy Wright in his spirit, and it becomes like a mirror. And you have these people that start to pour into him and is like, no, 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 you can do this.
No, this is who
And
I'm supposed to be.
and baby, the voice, this man singing, the footage of this man singing in this movie, if you're not moved by him, I don't know what to tell you, because he just had it.
And what we're talking about on this episode is that it factor.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we can even label it, put like diaphragm it, but like when I diagram, excuse me, diagram. Sorry, wrong show. But yeah, if we could diagram it, it would be hard to do. But just looking at the footage of him performing, there, when I think of the people we think of as one of ones,
Mhm.
the Michael Jacksons, the Princes,
Yeah.
the Whitney Houstons. I looked at Little Richard when he stood up on that speaker, and the frenzy in which those white
Like,
teenagers, mostly white teenagers, were whipped into such a frenzy. And when he hopped off the stage
mhm.
and just walked through them like it was nothing, and they parted
Parted the
like the Red
Yep.
Sea, but some were fainting, some were touching. You know, we've seen that with Michael.
Yes.
We've seen that, you know, people screaming to the top of their lungs, and the frenzy in which people get worked up into is one of the things that makes you one of one. But what are the other? What do you, in your opinion, J. Ray? What do you think are the other attributes of a one of one, of a Beyonce, of a Michael, of a Prince, of a Whitney?
It is the focus, the intense commitment to their craft. All of the people that we are talking about who are one of one were intensely focused on being the best at their craft, right? And there was going to be nobody better than them. Like, they just were like, listen, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to body everybody. So in the Little Richard documentary, when they talked about him going on tour, and it was like him, Fats Domino, all these other people. He was like third on the bill, but they were like, well, by the end of the tour, we had to make him a headliner because he had to go at the end because nobody could follow him. They were just like, listen, and he wasn't trying to upstage anybody. He was just who he was. He was doing his shit. You couldn't do better than that, right? So it was like, you're going to be the headliner. So I absolutely believe that is that commitment to your craft and being the best that makes you a one of one. And it is also, I think there's an anointing. All the people that we're talking about.
Ooh, say that.
There is literally, who can do, when we look at a Little Richard, you'd be like, well, who else can do that?
Nobody.
People will be inspired. Prince is absolutely inspired by Little Richard, but Prince is not Little Richard. He's absolutely inspired by him, but it is a whole other thing where it's just like, no, this is your gift and you're anointed, right, to do this thing. As an aside, I was reading the review of Kipper's album Ordinary Story in the LA Times, and the writer talked about the fact that what Kipper was able to do at the time was
Kipper Jones,
singer-songwriter Kipper Jones, Ordinary Story. She said Kipper was able to take all of his influences and make them wholly his own. That's a thing. Like, that is like, I hear all of what's inspiring you, but this is your thing. And so commitment to the craft and the anointing, you just can't make it up. Like you
Yeah.
just. What about you? What about you? Are there anything else that you think makes a one of one?
I think you okay. So one other thing is there has to be a mystique.
Oh yes.
There's a mystique about you, and there has to be a legend about you, meaning that before you even enter a room,
Mm-hmm.
there is some type of mythology about you that has entered into that room before you even show up.
Mm.
There, whether it's rumors, whether it's it's just stories of people telling stories of how they made you feel. There is a mythology about you that precedes you everywhere you go. And then there's a science to making people miss you. You know,
Oh,
you
say that. That's really
make
interesting.
making people miss you. And I think I don't we don't have her listed as a one of one. She's definitely one of one. But Sade has
Yeah.
mastered the art of going away, incubating, living her life, and then you could just drop a profile. You don't even have to show her whole face. It could just be a profile of her and that ponytail, and people will go berserk because they know that she's coming back.
Yeah.
And so there has to be some type of mystery and some type of wanting, some type of longing that people have to have for you. And so, in order to do that, you have to make people miss you, and that means you have to disappear. You have to move in silence. That means you have to move in disguises. Even that heightens it. You know,
Right.
Beyonce has learned about the moving in disguises, and that
Mhm.
heightens things for people. Michael Jackson was definitely
The
the king of
king, he was
disguises,
the king of pop and the king of disguises.
and and just being quirky. If you call it being yourself, you call it being quirky. Listen, Beyonce may say 4 words
Yeah.
to the press for a whole year, but you will hang on to each and every syllable of those 4 words because that's all you're going to get publicly from her.
Yeah.
And I think so when we transition into talking about what makes these people unable to be replicated, and what this unfortunately generations to come after them may try but aren't going to be able to do, is because that ethic, that work ethic, for some people just doesn't exist anymore. We live our lives way too publicly now with social media,
Mm-hmm.
and there used to be, back to this conversation about gatekeepers, there used to be gatekeepers to this industry, and now there aren't any. So every and anybody thinks that they could be a part of the tapestry of music and the music industry. So
Mm. Mm.
try as you may, and God love your mother and your grandma, and all the people that love you, and they tell you, oh baby, you're gonna be the next, Prince. Oh baby, you're gonna be the next, that little Lauren Hill. Oh, you sound just like her. You're gonna be the next her.
It's not gonna
They
happen.
It's not gonna happen, little stink. It's not gonna happen. Sorry.
So let's talk about Lauren before we talk about some of these others, because there was this tweet that came
Mm-hmm.
out that you sent to me, and it was a brother that was like, yo, I wish that this generation had its Lauren Hill.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we had that conversation about um
Oh yeah, that person that responded to
that person that
it.
responded to it. I'm not even itchy yet, child. She don't like Lauren Hill, so that's fine. She don't have to. But there's several things with that, right? So the fact of the matter is that Lauren's emergence as a pop cultural figure occurred at a very specific point in time in hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the early '90s, Lauren was reared coming out of all of the MCs from the '80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she was reared by that style of MCing, by and the type of work that you had to put in to like make yourself into the thing, right? We don't do that today. So one, she emerged at a particular time. Two, um, she literally paid all the dues. Remember, she was bodying men on the mic for years in between Fuji's records. Lauryn Hill, in between the Fuji's first album and the second album, was bodying dudes on records. Like she
Hell,
was
she
the
bodied them on their own
she
records.
was bodying her co rappers,
Stars. Yep.
her co-stars on her own joints, right?
On their joints, yeah.
So you can't really replicate that kind of artist. Like what people can do, and there are artists out there that are certainly inspired by Lauryn Hill. I think of a Little Sims, I think of a No Name, I think of, these artists that kind of do a little bit of that, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't do that. Because I'm gonna tell you this, Queen Latifah was rapping and singing way before Lauryn Hill, but who perfected the
Thank
rapping
you.
and the singing? Lauryn Hill did. Queen Latifah don't been rapping and singing since 1988. Lauryn Hill came along and killed us softly to this song, and we were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, she's like a singer and like a rapper, right? And she's gonna do both things, right? Very, very well. So that's one of the things that I think makes her unique. I don't think she's replaceable. One, she's still performing.
Right.
She's still out. She's still out here doing stuff, but we just don't make them like that. And I do think there are artists that are kind of doing it, but you just kind of no. She's one of one.
She's one of my. Here's the thing. Also, and I'll say this. So Lauryn Hill, in regards to the other people that we have mentioned before,
Mm-hmm.
Lauryn Hill has not reached that level of stardom like a Michael Jackson,
Oh no.
and we're very clear about that. Now we are talking about in the instance within history what she did. She's definitely an anomaly,
Mm-hmm.
and for her to win all those Grammys at that one time, yes, I agree. Sometimes we give the miseducation of Lauryn Hill a lot.
We do get that record
We
a lot.
we give that record a lot. Sometimes we give her a lot, but it was an anomaly and it happened. History cannot be repeated. History cannot be changed. That woman stamped her imprint on the in music history, and that's that. There's just no changing it. There's absolutely no changing it. And yes, thank you for saying that. Queen Latifah, her very first 12-inch was her rapping and singing. And I'll take it even further back. You had people like the Real Roxanne was singing and rapping.
Mm-hmm.
You had Wanda D who did the same thing.
The
You had
sequence,
let's not leave out Angie Stone because she might sue us.
right?
If we don't, because Angie Stone,
We see you,
yes,
Angie.
we see you, Angie Stone. We know that this singing and rapping thing, you did that shit first, mama. Yes, you did. And you weren't even from New York. You were from
Right.
South
No.
Carolina.
Yeah. One of them Carolina.
South.
She's down south
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah.
So yes, so we acknowledge you absolutely, but there is just a timing. I think timing is just another one of those factors. There is a, if you look at all the Doctor Strange movies where they have the little clock thing, there's just certain moments in time that just are a portal for some type of magic to happen within music history, especially when it comes to Black music history. There's just these notches on that clock that just click at a certain time, and boom, there is a magic that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
No, I was curious because we're gonna talk about this amazing artist, but I was gonna ask you, so from your perspective,
Mm-hmm.
Michael, so there's always is Chris Brown the next Michael Jackson? Is Usher the next Michael Jackson? Is Jacquees the next Michael Jackson? Jacquees is not the next Michael Jackson.
I gotta stop you right there.
So can we talk about this thing? Like, is there anyone that has come close? Why? What makes MJ unique, and why can he or cannot be replicated? What's your thought?
So Michael Jackson cannot be replicated for all the reasons that we stated before. He he embodied all of those reasons: the mythology, the dogged commitment to his craft, the unmatched work ethic,
Mm-hmm.
the and the anointing,
Mm-hmm.
and the just the way that time works. That portal in which he came through, that was supposed to happen for him at that time. You just cannot catch lightning in a bottle, and there's just certain things that you cannot replicate. Now, do these young men, and I will stop at Usher.
Yeah.
Usher, I believe,
Yes.
understands. Now you have artists that understand and that learn.
Mm-hmm.
Usher is definitely one of them. He understands. He sat at the foot of Michael. He had the opportunity and the joy of being able to stand on stage and dance with that man.
Yes.
So, and I'm certain he asked them all the questions. So you can, and you can see it in Usher, in the love that Usher gets, because Usher is a true student of his craft, and and gives it to us the way it's supposed to be presented. He may not, because of the time that Usher came along, Usher did wonderful things, numbers wise.
Mm-hmm.
He may not get up there to what Michael Jackson has done, but we as the audience appreciate what Usher has given to us,
Yes.
because we know that it comes from an organic and genuine place. So therefore, he's going to reap the benefits of of that of that giving into his talent, of that taking care of what he has been giving.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you there's a principle, I'm not even going deep into that, but a lot of us, if we don't take care of what has been given to us, the
Mm-hmm.
principle is that you're not going to get more until you start taking care of what you already have. And I think it's a disservice for well, not us, because we know better, but for the other talking heads, for the people in their camps, the A&Rs, to keep saying such and such is the next so and so. It's a disservice to that
Mm-hmm.
young person, because you're creating an unrealistic expectation for them. That's just not going to happen. Now, reach for the stars, shoot for the stars, and you might, what did it say? No, shoot for the moon and you might catch a star.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. Yes, by all means, do your very best. That's one of the four agreements. Do your absolute best. But I think naming these names and saying that you could be the next them is a disservice. What the conversation or the reframing should be: learn from these people,
Mm-hmm.
adapt a lot of their techniques and their um and the care and the that they put into their craft, and you too can reach your own, what is supposed to be for you, your own success, and define what that success is for yourself. So
Mm.
if I was somebody's A&R, if I was somebody's manager, I would never utter those words to them. That would not be in a press release, nothing like that. It's just a disservice to them. And I
Yeah.
think we're really handicapping a lot of these young people that want to make music and want to create things, but then we already put them in a box or try to pigeonhole them to a standard that they're never going to be able to live up to.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because this also applies for music listeners as well. When we get so attached
Mm.
to a particular style of a way a particular artist, let's take a Lauren, let's take a Michael, the way they make us feel, and we're chasing that very same idea, it closes us off to what we can get. And I think for all of the artists that we're talking about, particularly when we get to Prince, right?
Mm-hmm.
These people arrive to us giving us something that we hadn't been given before, right? So if we were closed off to receiving it and to hearing it, we could have missed all of this greatness, right? So it's like it's okay to be like, oh, I get this person's reference point. Like I like it. Like I like where they're referencing and I like what they're doing with it. They're churning it through their own thing and they're doing their own thing. I feel like when we're like, "Oh my god, I wish we had a so and so," we're there's that so and so's probably that person or that feeling is probably already out there. You're just looking for it in this package that it ain't in. Right? You just
Mhm.
looking for it. But if you concentrated on the feeling, we'd probably get it. Um, yeah, like I don't. It's so interesting. I don't think there's a need to. We don't need another Michael Jackson. We already got one. He was here. He was
Yeah.
already here, and we know what that was like. And honestly, I don't know how we gonna do that again. We don't even sell records like that no more. Like
No.
he was selling like 1 million records a week. That's
Exactly.
like nuts.
And I think it must be mentioned that a few of the people that we have listed here that we speak of fondly as one of ones,
Mhm.
they're not even here anymore.
Nope.
They're no longer with us. And I think, I don't know if people thought that created a void, but I don't think it created a
It
void.
doesn't
I
because
think it
their
made
music lives.
their music lives, and I think it made us want to celebrate what they've left behind even more. We're still talking about them. You know,
Yeah.
if we just talk about Whitney Houston
Oh God.
alone, like there have been several people, well no, there's like a handful of people that when those Whitney movies come out, they call on one or two people to replicate her voice.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it doesn't even come close.
No,
Love, they use Deborah Cox a lot.
a lot.
Love Deborah Cox. Deborah Cox is a constant. First of all, she's my Guyanese sister,
Mm-hmm.
so love her for that. And then she's a consummate professional. Wonderful. She is one, like I was saying about Usher. Study her craft, dogged dedication to her craft, and so she reaps the benefits of that. For people to even say, you know what, let's use her because her voice is close enough to Whitney's, and we'll get it. But it's still not the same thing. It's still not the same thing because there's just a texture and a cadence to a Whitney Houston lick that just nobody can repeat. Even the people that learned under her or were her mentees, vocal Bibles, as much as we love them, they've gone to the extent that they can to be as much of their own person as they can be and not be compared to that person.
Yeah.
So it's just, stop doing it. Let's just stop doing it to them and stop doing it to yourselves.
Yeah. I mean, when we think of a thing like Whitney, when we talk about that anointing too, right?
Anointing, yeah.
That ability to, I even put my pen down, that ability to interpret a song that you did not write, but it's like sucking it in, right? Because you would
Mhm.
see Whitney sing and she's taking in these huge breaths and then she's letting out this beautiful or soft sound, right? Because she had full control of her instrument
Mhm.
at the height of it, right? She had full control of it. But it was like she was taking it in, these songs through her body and her experience and giving it to you as if she was the songwriter.
Yes.
That is God given. I'm going to bring the Lord into this. That is anointed, where God is like, baby, I'm going to give you're going to have the voice.
Mm.
You listen to those songs and you're like, this woman's tone, Jesus, she
Mm.
is singing down.
And listeners, I'm rocking back and forth. You know that rock, the one
Yes.
that you get when you're in church and you can't say a word, but you just rock and swaying back and forth because it's just that good to you. J. Ray is absolutely right. And can I and let me I want to add one other thing. A lot of us, and I'm saying us because we're part of it too. If we think about it, we could possibly be the cause of a lot of the beefs, and I'm putting that up in quotation marks, between these artists who have been pitted against each other because of that need to compare, and because
Mm,
of that need to use that next such and such talk in order, because that's just part of consumerism. That's just a means of marketing to get people to say, oh, well, if you like this, then you like this, like how they do on Netflix. And they create this algorithm of, well, if you like Whitney Houston, you're going to like Mariah Carey, when in fact they absolutely did two different things. Mariah Carey is one of one, and you can
absolutely.
see and you can understand why an artist will have a visceral effect when somebody automatically starts comparing them to someone else. Because if you are a one of one, I'm assuming that your anointing and you're speaking to your source, that conversation you have to that source, that voice that tells you that you are one of one, makes you can just drives you crazy that people are trying to compare you to someone else. It's like, no, y'all don't see it. You don't see what God has put here, what God has put, the source has put in me, is that I'm supposed to do something completely different from such and such.
Mm-hmm.
Love them, and they're one of one too. I know because the source told me that, yeah, that's one of your one of one siblings,
Yeah.
right? And so, but no, I'm me. How
Mm,
dare you? How dare you? So it's like, so a
yeah.
lot of these beefs, especially imagine being Mariah Carey and having somebody come bring up Jennifer Lopez in a conversation with you. Imagine.
But
I
first of
get
all,
I'm
imagine.
offended. I'm offended for her. Just thinking about it.
Like, or you are Mariah and somebody's bringing up Whitney, or Whitney bringing up Mariah, and you're like, well, one, why are you bringing them up here? I see what you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
do, and that is annoying. I never thought about this in that way, but I think you're absolutely right. And our need to feel, it's all about comfort. Our need to feel
Mm-hmm.
comfort in what we experience, we will go ahead and be like, okay, I need to make these comparisons so that I could get what I need out of it. But the truth is, baby, just like the music, Mariah is
That's
one
all.
of one, Whitney is one of one. Baby, you could be a Lamb and a Whitney Houston fan. It's totally okay. It's fully acceptable. They are both great.
And that's
Mariah
that on that.
can't be Whitney Houston.
Nope.
It's just not a thing. So one of the things, and I think, to answer the question, that's one of the reasons why specifically Whitney, I don't even know that there is an artist that's even come close, because with Whitney there's several things, right? There is the star power.
Mm-hmm.
There is the voice is a thing. That's also one that knocks people pegs down like 1,000 times, right? Because there's like, well, baby, do you got like that voice? Like, that's a very specific voice. Do you got that voice? Can you do that? So that knocks people out. Then you have like the star quality of the whole thing that knocks people out. So I can't even think of another artist that comes close. The only one that kind of does is another one of one, and that's Mariah, but they do totally different things. Like,
Totally different thing.
it's so different that I'm like, I don't know of an artist that kind of does today, that kind of does what Whitney was doing.
You know what I loved? I loved when the one of ones would be in each other's presence and they would play with each other.
Yeah.
Like like seeing Luther Vandross,
Yes.
definitely one of one, and Whitney Houston just cutting up on stage with each other. Just they're not even really trying.
Right.
They they just playing with each other and kikiing and cackling on the side because they know that this is just fun for them. But we're
Yes.
sitting in awe. Luther Vandross, and I saw a clip recently of Luther and Patti LaBelle on stage,
My
and Pat
God.
and they're singing "If Only for One Night," and Patti LaBelle is doing the absolute most, which is why we love her. And that makes her one of one. And Luther Vandross is like, well, I'm still doing me, but I'm playing with my big sister Patty here, and we're just gonna have a good time. I think it's that kindred, that twin flame that the one of ones have, and it's apparent when they get to play and hang out with each other. A lot of people like to talk about try to construct this beef between Prince and Michael Jackson, when in actuality they used to they used to play kiki with each other too
Uh-huh.
and hang out. Lenny Kravitz plainly said, Prince called me up and said, "Yo, we going over to Michael's to hang out." Can you imagine?
I would be like, child, that's a lot. That's a whole lot to do. I'd be like, wait, what do I even say?
And
Oh,
and playing music, listening and playing the music with each other and just chopping it up. Those twin flames, they know each other. They know each other. We
mm,
don't. We just happen to be the ones that if we're smart enough, we'll catch it, we'll document it, we'll give them space to do what they need to do. They'll produce long lasting content for us and music for us to listen to for the rest of our lives.
absolutely. You know what I just thought of too? This is one of your favorite memes. At least it used to be. I don't know that I've seen it in a while, but it is with another one of one. The Natalie
Mhm.
Cole and Whitney Houston one with the point where they,
And they just
I,
start laughing with each other. Point and case exactly. Natalie Cole, bless her, one of one.
one of one. That woman, I just saw somebody posted a clip from, I guess probably like 75. She's doing This Will Be, baby,
Mhm.
singing down. Her and those background singers are doing all the things you want them to do. And I'm like, lady, you better sing this song. I don't know.
I mean, she was that big,
Yeah.
Afro huge. I know the performance you're
Yeah.
talking about. Afro was huge and just singing her face off. And we still love that song to this day. Definitely one of one. Natalie
One
Cole.
of one. You know, we certainly glossed over Prince. I don't know that we need to say a ton, but I do think there's a really important thing I do want to say
Mhm.
about Prince. One, he's one of those ones he won't be replicated. Like there are artists that are certainly, you could tell, that are inspired by Prince. You know, I think of, our good brother Rob B. My God.
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
of
Miguel.
Miguel, absolutely. I think of B Slade.
Mhm.
There are absolutely artists out there who are Bruno Mars, Anderson Paak, all of them folks like are definitely cut
Yeah.
from the Prince Club. However,
Disciple.
they are
They're
disciples of the
disciple.
Prince, right?
Mhm.
I was listening to because it was Prince, because last week we were doing the 7 songs of Prince. Child, I picked 7, but I was like, child, that's just the 7 today. Like tomorrow I might have a whole other 7. Like it was such a thing. But I went back and I was playing Love to the Nines, and I said, this man will write you a song, sing it, perform it, and yeah, we just not nobody's gonna do that. Like nobody's gonna be able to do that like that at that breath, because he was not only making his stuff, he was writing stuff for everybody else at the same
Mhm.
time
Yep.
and doing that too. I mean, I can see the smoke coming out off the control board in his studio, because it's like, baby, we've been producing music for days on end, banger after banger after banger. We got a sex shooter and a
And
you
a
know
nasty
and a
girl and a
nasty girl and a all of the above. The point is, we don't need another Prince. Prince And Michael and Whitney, they left us, to your point earlier, with the music. They will live on
Mm-hmm.
forever. What we should encourage is, if we see, for artists that are watching, if you are like, if you need people to look to, pick some of these artists to look to. Pull old performances, pull records, pull B-sides, pull them songs that people might not know, because you're probably in there somewhere. They have a
Mm.
mirror, like Escarita and Billy Wright showed Little Richard a mirror of himself. These artists are there for you so that you can see yourself too. Take what these artists have already done and make it your own. Be you. Don't worry about these folks out here, like Sir Daniel said, trying to make it where it's like, you're the next Prince. No, Prince is Prince. You're you. I need you to be you.
Absolutely. I think this is like a love letter to. It sounds like we're not bashing artists that are on the come up. We're actually, this is a love letter to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is an instruction manual. These are your two older uncles that know a little bit about music. They've been
Mm-hmm.
around for a minute, saying, "Hey, listen, do that. Don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to that. Think about doing this, but most of all, be yourself. If you feel like you're a one of one, absolutely be yourself. We are going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to know it. That's just one of those things. We're going to know that you're a one of one. And so, yeah, to J Ray's point, absolutely please be yourself. Look for those mirrors and accentuate that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of another one of one, so J Ray, last week I gave you an album
Mm-hmm.
that you should take on a desert island,
Yes.
and by a one of one, Grace Jones, absolutely one of one.
Absolutely.
Never be another one of her. Um, Gaga, there'll never be another Grace Jones. Uh, how did you enjoy "Living My Life" by Grace Jones?
Let me tell you something. I absolutely freaking adored this record. So I had not heard it in its totality. I was familiar
Mm-hmm.
with My Jamaican Guy and Nipple to the Bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I absolutely, I was like, oh my God. So I would absolutely, let me start with, I would absolutely take this to a desert island. Here's all the
Okay.
reasons. So it includes, it's a combination of groove.
Mm-hmm.
It is just the right amount of punk and rock that I like,
Mm.
which of course Grace was doing at the time with the, the Sly and Robbie stuff. Um, and it's straight ahead, but it's also quirky in a lot of ways, because that's with Grace's tone and the way she delivers. It's just a unique sort of sound. So I absolutely fell in love with this record. I had not listened to it in its entirety, and I know why, because it was 82, and I was super young, and even though this record was a hit, it wasn't like nightclubbing her record before, like a huge hit. So I just kind of missed this. But I will say, my favorite song, Inspiration, is my favorite song on this album. It's the second from the last track. Interestingly enough, for this record, it's only 7 tracks and they released like 5 singles, which is hilarious to
Mm-hmm.
me. But Inspiration was not a single, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's inspirational. So I highly recommend for folks, go and check out the Grace Jones album, Living My Life, and check out the song Inspiration. But also, Cry Now, Laugh Later. Love that song. Which was a single. I think that was the last single from this album. And yeah, I highly recommend this record. I played this record 2 or 3 times between over the week, and I also went back and revisited the Nightclubbing album because I hadn't listened to that record in a while.
Okay.
Grace Jones's cover of Bill Withers' "Use Me" is one of the most awesome things that folks can listen to. So while you're listening to Inspiration, off the Living My Life record, go back to the Nightclubbing record and play that Use Me cover that's on there because it's crazy too. So yeah, no, this record I would take to a desert island. It's now in my rotation. You did real good. This is a J Ray 100%. This is the kind of shit I like.
I feel so happy. I feel proud of myself right now. I'm proud of me that because I consider J Ray to have like a very fine-tuned palette when it comes to music. And his and for him to like 100% stand behind a record, that's a big deal
I
because
really like this. I'm
the
like,
guy
how
is
did
not
I know this record? Like,
the guy's not a slouch when it comes to music. So take my word for it. But yeah, I'm glad we did that. We if you and I think listener, if you have suggestions for us, by all
yeah,
means, please send them to us if you think that there's something that J Ray and I could benefit from hearing, a
yes.
body of work that you think we could benefit from hearing, suggest it to us. And if we want to talk about it on an episode, we definitely will.
Absolutely. So y'all listen, make sure that you, if you are listening, well, once again, if you've gotten this far and you hear this, that means you have hung out with us the whole time. So make sure that before you leave, you hit the subscribe button, and also make sure that you share the show, because there are folks in your universe that I'm sure would be into this as well. If you are interested in supporting us even further, you can become a member of Q Points by going to our website, qpoints.com, clicking the subscribe button and becoming a member. And you can shop in our store at store.qpoints.com, y'all.
Awesome. Great show, J Ray. At the let's see. Next week,
Mm-hmm.
we're figuring things out.
Yeah,
We're figuring things out for next week. We may be in person, like face to
maybe.
face. We may be face to face next week. We may not. I'm not gonna make any
Yes,
promises.
right.
However, but at any time that you listen to this show, you're gonna be blown away. Again, I thank everybody, the people that have reached out and told me that I may not have a chance to listen the night that you all are live on Facebook, which is Thursday nights.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go back to the show, I enjoy these episodes. They tell us that they enjoy the episodes and they get a whole lot,
Thank y'all.
and they feel like we're super knowledgeable, which is the biggest. That's the biggest compliment to us.
Yo, because it'd be
Our
scary
crew.
sometimes. It's like, oh my God, do I know enough about
Right,
this? But thank y'all. Thank y'all.
and we just have a good time, even if we don't know a lot about it. We'll ask the questions,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully, we can have people that can answer for us. And so, yeah, we just have a great time doing this show with J Ray. What do I tell the folks each and every time that they tune in? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I am DJ Sir Daniel,
My name is J Ray, y'all.
also
Peace.
also known as J Hands. But and this has been Q Points, dropping the needle on Black music history. We'll see you on the next go round.
Absolutely, y'all.